Okay, so today we're going to talk about The Devil Wears Prada 2. Not really the kinds of movie I talk about on this channel, but I saw the first one and then I just saw the second one recently, so yeah, let's talk about it. So, since this is a sequel, I should probably give my opinion on the first one. So, the first Devil Wears Prada was okay. I mean, like, the movie was about business and fashion, which are two topics I have no interest in. But the movie itself it was like, I have mixed feelings about it. Like, I liked Andy as a character, but everyone in that movie, in the first one, was just really mean to her. Like, it was really frustrating to watch everyone just go out of their way to be disgustingly mean to her. The only one who wasn't mean to her that much was Nigel. He was a little bit snotty with her in the beginning, but then, like, towards the end of the movie, they become friends, and it's clear that he has a lot of respect for her. So I like Nigel in the first movie, but these two, Miranda and Emily. Look, I like Meryl Streep, I like Emily Blunt, but these characters were terrible. And again, I'm still talking about the first one. We'll talk about the second one in a minute, but right now I'm just giving a quick review on the first one. So yeah, so Miranda was supposed to be like a stereotypical businesswoman, like the evil businesswoman, and Emily was supposed to be like the stereotypical snooty mean girl. Except they're not in high school; they're grown adults, and she's still acting like this. Um, but yeah, in the first movie, I didn't really feel any sympathy for. But there's this one scene where um Miranda is going through a divorce, and she's like crying, and she opens up to Andy about how um how now her daughters have to grow up without a father, and you feel a little bit sorry for her during that, but then right after you kind of get over it because she continues to be mean. But yeah, Emily in the first movie had no, like, you don't feel bad for her for a single second because the entire time she's bragging about, oh, I get to go on this freaking trip to Europe with Miranda, and then towards the end she gets hit by a car, and it's actually pretty satisfying to watch because you're like, and then she's like crying because she can't go on the trip to Europe now, but I don't feel bad for her. Why should we feel bad? Because the thing she's been throwing at everyone's faces, now she can't do it? Like, no, I don't feel bad for Emily at all. At one point she grabs Andy's arm and like throws her into the kitchen, and she's like bragging about how great she is throughout the entire movie. And it's like, Miranda doesn't treat Emily very well either. Like, Miranda treats Andy badly. Miranda treats Emily badly too. And considering how self-obsessed and narcissistic Emily is, I'm surprised she's letting someone treat her that way. But whatever. So that was the first movie. I'd give the first movie like a 6 out of 10, maybe. No, like maybe like a 5.5, 5.5 out of 10. I would give the first movie. Oh, and also Andy's friends and her boyfriend were really sucky because they're giving her crap about not being able to spend as much time with them because of her new job. And it's like, yeah, I get that can be frustrating, but they're all adults and they should all realize that having a job takes up a lot of time. And the fact that Andy's friends are like messing with her by grabbing her phone and then throwing it around like a bunch of 10-year-olds, it's like, grow up. And then there's a scene where, so one of Andy's friends has like an art gallery, and Andy can't make it because she's at work, and she shows up late, which I get her friend being upset about that. But then her friend is like, oh, we've been best friends forever, and you're not there for me. But like, we haven't seen them together. This is the first scene we see them together. So I don't. It's hard to feel anything during that scene when this is the first time we're even seeing them have a one-on-one conversation. But that's a problem that gets fixed in the second movie, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then her boyfriend, um, who's also kind of annoying because he keeps giving her crap about this job. And yeah, like, she misses his birthday party, which I get him being upset about that. But other than that, like, it's really annoying because the entire movie he's just complaining. Like, we don't even really see him as a character. We don't really know a lot about him other than he's a chef. It's just like, he's annoying, and then they break up because of her job, and then at the end of the movie she comes to him and apologizes as if she did something wrong, which, I mean, yeah, I get him being upset for missing his birthday, but considering how Miranda is and how Miranda treated her, I don't think Miranda would be very flexible about the idea of her missing a day. So I get it. I get Andy's point of view. And then the end of the movie felt kind of unsatisfying too, because Miranda's still mean. The only difference is she gains a little bit more respect for Andy, but she still wants Andy to be like her. She's like, oh, everyone wants to be us. And then Andy realizes she doesn't want this life, so she just quits. And then when Andy's interviewing for another job, the boss of that job says that he got a reference from Miranda, and Miranda called her a bunch of mean things, but then also said, but you would be a fool not to hire her. So I guess that implies that she does gain respect for her, even though she's still insulting her. And then Emily, there's a new assistant. At the end of the movie, there's a new assistant who takes over Andy's job, and Emily tells the woman, you have some big shoes to fill, which I guess also kind of implies that she gained respect for Andy too, but we don't see anything to indicate that she did. So, I don't know. The end of the first movie felt pretty unsatisfying. And yeah, those are my thoughts on the first movie. And it's also implied that Andy and her boyfriend get back together. But in the second movie, which we're going to talk about now, the boyfriend's not even mentioned, which means I guess that means they don't get back together, or they do and they break up again, which is good, because he's a pretty unlikable character. Okay, so Devil Wears Prada 2. I saw it earlier this month, or last month, and now we're going to talk about it. So this movie picks up 20 years later, and which is because the first movie came out 20 years ago, so now it takes place 20 years later. And honestly, I liked it. I liked it a lot better than the first one. They're more respectful towards Andy, and not completely, but they're definitely a lot nicer. So Andy basically gets fired from her job as a journalist, which is what she wanted to do in the first movie, and now she has to go back to working for Miranda, which sucks. And Andy I guess expects Miranda. She's like, oh, well, maybe Miranda will be nicer to me this time. Nope, she's not nicer. At least not at first. And it's just really sad to watch, because there's a scene where Miranda makes Andy take the train, which there's nothing wrong with taking a train, but when you all come in a carpool together and then they leave without you, it's pretty insulting. And it's just really sad to watch, because you know how like when you run into your high school bully and they haven't changed and they start saying mean things to you, and then you just feel like you're back in high school. That's kind of what this seemed like. Because even though it's been 20 years since Andy worked here, and she's like a professional writer, and she has all this, has all this credit and everything, she immediately goes back to being treated like how she was when she was an intern. And she should have never been treated like that at all. Like, even back when she was an intern, she still shouldn't have been treated like, nobody should be treated like that. So it's really insulting to see Miranda, like, just treat her like that. I thought Miranda would have gained a little bit more respect for her, because at the end of the movie it's implied that she does, but then she pretends not to remember her at first, but then later she says she does remember her, so I don't know if she didn't remember her and then she did, or she just pretended not to. I don't know. And Nigel came back, and we actually find out at the end of the movie that he got her the job working for Miranda, which I have mixed feelings about, because on one hand it was nice of him to get her that job, and when she shows up you can tell that he's genuinely happy to see her again, but also, like, he knows how Miranda treats her, so I don't know. And then there's a scene where so it's similar to the first movie. So in the first movie, Andy's talking about how Miranda's being mean to her, and in this movie she's talking about it again. And she's talking about how whenever she does something good, it doesn't get noticed, but then whenever she gets mad, whenever she does something bad, they never let her live it down. And that's a really relatable feeling, where you're not saying you want you're not saying you want people to praise you every single time, but you just want to be acknowledged once in a while. And I can understand that feeling. But Nigel gives her this, like, oh, you wanted this job, so you figure out how to do this job. And that sounds kind of harsh, and it made me, like, he says it in this movie. He says it to her in the first movie, and then he says it to her in this movie. And it's like, at first I thought, like, come on, Nigel, you, like, Andy trusts you, she's trying to open up to you, you could be a little more sympathetic. But I think he was trying to be sympathetic. I think he was trying to tell her, you can do this job, so do it. And I think he was just saying it coldly because that's how he is. Like, I don't think he meant it in a mean way. I don't think he was trying to, like, tell her to get over it or anything. I think he was just I think this was his way of trying to be encouraging to her. Because I don't think he would tell her to do the job if he didn't think if she could do it. So yeah, the way he went about it was a little bit cold, but I think he had good intentions, so I still like Nigel. And now we go to Emily. So Emily now has her own company, and she's rich, and she's basically Miranda 2.0. and she is so Miranda. She makes Miranda looks like freaking Mr. Rogers in this movie because Emily is so terrible. She's so impolite. She's so snotty. Worse than the first movie. Like, Emily is incapable of showing any amount of respect to anybody. Miranda can at least pretend to be respectful when she's around people, but Emily just. So when Miranda and Andy meet with Emily's company to discuss whatever, I don't know, like I said, I don't know a lot about business, but the second Emily sees Andy, she just stops and's like, "What are you doing here?" And then when Andy says I'm working here again, she's like, "You're kidding." Like, why do you care? You haven't seen this woman in 20 years. Why are you being... And then, so Andy and Emily, there's a scene where they're together and they're having a conversation. Andy's asking Emily about like, so what have you been up to the past 20 years? And Emily's like, why do you care? It's like, it's called being nice, Emily. Like, so basically Emily starts bragging about her life, and then Andy mentions that she hasn't gotten married, but she like froze her eggs, which if you're not familiar with that, basically means that sometimes when women get older, if they don't have children yet, but they want children, at some point down the line, they freeze their eggs, which means, the eggs it takes to reproduce. They freeze those so that if they get too old to carry the children, they can just use those eggs and have a donor carry them so that they can have children and they don't have to rush to have them. So basically Andy mentions to Emily that she did that, and Emily just has this like horrified look on her face. Like it's the worst thing in the world to do, which I don't know. But like I said, Emily's just incapable of being civil to anybody. Andy's genuinely happy to see her for some reason. She's asking, "How have you been?" And Emily is just being a snotty bitch. I'm sorry for the language, but that's what she's being. And then later in the movie, we find so Emily's dating this like rich guy, and it's clear that she's like dating him for the money. And so when the company Miranda's in charge of, because she's not the owner. She's not like she's a boss, but she's not like the main boss. Like, she's not the highest above. So what happens is the person who's in charge dies, and his son, who's played by BJ Novak from The Office, I guess sells the company, and Emily asks her boyfriend to buy the company so that she can be in charge, to like basically as a big F you to Miranda. So, and she tricks Andy into helping her. She's like, "Oh, let's buy the company so we can give it to Miranda." And then they do buy the company, and then she's like, "No, I'm going to keep the company for myself." Which, yeah. But then, I guess her boyfriend finds out that she was just using him for the money, and he like leaves her. And who buys the company? Was it the owner's son? Was it BJ Novak's character? I don't know. Someone buys the company, and Miranda gets her job back. So it has a happy ending for Miranda. And then at the end, Emily tells Andy, "Oh, 20 years ago after you left, I tried to call you because I wanted to be friends with you." Okay, so you wanted to be friends with her, and at the end of the last movie, it's implied that she gained more respect for her. But then now she's being a jerk to her. Again, even though you say you wanted to be friends with her. And then Andy's like, "Well, maybe we can be friends," even though Emily just screwed you over. And look, people can be redeemed. I'm not saying characters can't be redeemed, but this just happened. Emily just tried to screw you and Miranda over. And the only reason she didn't was because her boyfriend broke up with her and decided not to buy the company. So it really feels like if Emily's plan had worked, if her boyfriend did buy the company and Emily became in charge, she wouldn't be doing this. She wouldn't be going to Andy and asking for forgiveness. So it just feels kind of weird that Andy forgave her. Like I said, you can forgive people, but in this context, I don't think so. Because Emily's probably going to try to screw you over again the second she gets the chance to. So yeah, there's that. What else? There's this one assistant character who I forgot her name, but she's supposed to be like a Gen Z. She's like Gen Z, and Andy makes because she's kind of like forgetful and cartoony. Andy makes a comment about, "Oh, I worry about this generation," which I think is kind of an unfair thing to say. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a Gen Z, but like this assistant ends up helping Andy a lot in this movie, so it's a little unfair for Andy to say that she worries about the generation just because one person from that generation is a little bit out of it, but she ends up being really helpful anyway. So I don't know what Andy's talking. But like I said, I like Andy. I still like Andy despite that one comment. I like Nigel. I started to like Miranda. I honestly, by the end of this movie, I actually kind of like Miranda. And Emily is still Emily. Um, but yeah, it seems like Miranda doesn't look down on people as much as she did in the first movie. Like she's in this movie, she's like eating at the employees' cafeteria, and she's like she's acting like it's like a another planet because she's acting like I guess she's never been to the cafeteria before, but she's not looking down on anyone for eating there. She's not saying how do people eat this crap or anything. So I guess so yeah, she's more likable in this movie. Oh, I forgot to mention Andy's father. Andy's father in the first movie I thought was a really good character because he was supportive towards her, and he was only in like two scenes. But yeah, I liked her father in the first one, but he wasn't even mentioned in this movie, which is weird. I don't know who played Andy's. I don't know the actor's name who played him, but maybe they just couldn't get him. They couldn't get him for this movie. I don't know. But overall, yeah, I would give the first movie like a 5.5, and I would give this movie maybe like a 7 out of 10. Yeah, so what did you think of this movie? What did you think of the first Devil Wears Prada? Did you like them? Did you like the second one? Or does it just seem like a cash grab to you? Because when people announced the first Devil Wears Prada, people were just saying that it was a cash grab. But no, I don't think it was a cash. Maybe it was, but it felt like more than that. So yeah. Okay, so what are your thoughts on this movie? Talk about it in the comments below. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.